Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Luke Papala Show. There's breaking news. Recently, there's been an article out of Politico, and it broke a story about a Young Republicans group chat that got leaked. And in this Young Republicans group chat that got leaked, there were a bunch of slurs that the media didn't appreciate. And on top of that, there was a quote that stood out in this article, which we're going to read. And the quote was, "I love Hitler," from one of these Young Republicans members. So we're going to read this article from Politico. Everybody in the news has been reacting to it, from JD Vance to Mehdi Hassan on the left. All of these people on the right and the left have been reacting to it. And interestingly enough, a lot of people on the right, higher ups in Republican politics, have denounced these Young Republicans. So here we go. We're going to read this. Quote, "I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose Young Republicans' racist chat." So it says thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. And as you can see right here, here are all of these messages, right? I'm going to read a couple, not going to read all of them. Here we go. So everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. I'm ready to watch people burn now. Someone says, "Great, I love Hitler." Somebody says, "When do we start bullying dude? Boom, they're dead. He also hates the Jews. They love watermelon people. Stay in that, stay in the closet." And you could kind of imply the slur that this person used right here. This girl is fully retarded. So stuff like that. Some of it not big deal. Some of it people interpreted it as a big deal. Let's continue on here. Here we go. From New York. Leaders of the Young Republicans group throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They refer to black people as monkeys and, quote, "the watermelon people," and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide and lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the words, you can guess, I'm not going to read it out here. Variations of a racial slur more than a dozen times in the chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to rape as epic. Not great. Continuing on here, Peter Ginta, who at the time was the chair of the same organization, wrote in a message sent in June that, quote, "Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber," end quote. Ginta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000-member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old. Quote, "I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers," he continued. Two members of the group chat responded. Right here we have that, and one says, "When do we start bullying dude?" The other says, "We have solid three people who can want them to jump." And then here are these chats. So we're not gonna read all of them, but here they are. Quote, "Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the Hitler aesthetic," Joe Malignos, who previously identified himself as the general counsel for the New York State Young Republicans, wrote back. Quote, "I'm ready to watch people burn now," Annie Cady, New York's National Committee member, said. The exchange is part of a trove of Telegram chats obtained by Politico and spanning more than 7 months of messages among young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. The chat offers an unfiltered look at how the new generation GOP activists talk when they think no one is listening. So this is according to Politico. Since Politico began making inquiries, one member of the group chat is no longer employed at their job, and another's job offer was rescinded. Prominent New York Republicans, including Representative Elise Stefanik and State Minority Leader Rob Ortt, have denounced the chat. More on that in a second. And festering resentments among young Republicans have now turned into public recriminations, including allegations of character assassination and extortion. The 2,900 pages of chats shared amongst the dozen millennial and Gen Z Republicans between early January and mid-August chronicle their campaign to seize control of the National Young Republicans organization on a hardline pro-Donald Trump platform. Many of the chat members already work inside government or party politics, and one serves as a state senator. Together, the messages reveal a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely, and where the Trump-era loosening of political norms had made such talk feel less taboo among those positioning themselves as the party's leaders. Okay, we don't need to read this anymore. Continuing on, a lot of people were mad. Obviously, on the left, they were mad at this. But this is the point. This seems to be a freedom of speech thing. Now, I'm not defending what was said, but I guess I kind of am. These are just jokes. If you truly believe if the Democrats want to take the message, if the left wants to take up the mantle of being the free speech party, then this shouldn't be an issue. This is a private Telegram chat. Whoever exposed this, and we're going to get into who exactly exposed this, should be publicly shamed. This doesn't seem right. And here is the person. So this guy, the New York Young Republicans Club president, his name is Gavin Wax, and he extorted Mike Bartels to turn over the Telegram messages to him, and Wax leaked them to Politico. So this is the guy. Does this guy seem like somebody who's going to take a joke? Realistically, I mean, this is the guy. Doesn't look like a fun person to be around. Looks like a real serious person. Somebody that you can't joke around with, for lack of a better term. And so, obviously, the comments were taken out of context. They were cited, as part of what members describe as a, quote, highly coordinated year-long character assassination campaign led by Gavin Wax. So, a lot of people are pointing to people on the left. In this paragraph right here, I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'm going to read it to you, though. Jay Jones, a Democrat running for Attorney General in Virginia, was recently exposed for messages glibly advocating violence against his Republican adversaries and their families, referred to the little children of these Republicans as little fascists. But despite this leak, I'm reading this now, Jones faced no meaningful backlash from any of his fellow Democrats, even in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Folks, come on. We're gonna punish these young Republicans, these young men and women who were merely joking around in a private group text. It doesn't seem like it's a good idea. There were all these people on the left over the past month and a half after Charlie Kirk was murdered, going on TikTok, sharing public videos to the whole entire world, posting to the void about how they were so happy that this man was tragically killed. And I don't think it's a productive thing to do, to continue to demonize these kids. I mean, some of them, you read the article, some of them as young as 18 years old, sharing jokes in a private Telegram group chat. It just doesn't seem like it's very productive. It seems very counterintuitive if you're supposed to be the party of free speech all of a sudden. And furthermore, there were a bunch of Republicans, such as Elise Stefanik, who I just referenced in that article, representative from New York, Republican representative from New York, who denounced this group chat. And, I mean, let's look at it. Let's zoom out a little bit, right? You have people on the left, young people on the left, our generation, who are like more and more each day, more radicalized than the next, going further to the left, going more communist. Conversely, you have people on the right, our generation, who are going more and more out there. Same thing, more and more radicalized, becoming more and more fascist. It's how it is. And you don't see all of these prominent people in the Democratic Party on the left, all these politicians condemning the younger Gen Z communists. But then go on the other side of the aisle, you see all of these Republican politicians condemning this group chat, calling it racist, calling it anti-Semitic, when on the left you have all of these people, all of these Gen Z communists saying way more violent things. Again, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I can't express this enough. This is crazy. And I think I have Matt Walsh defending it. I do. So this is Matt Walsh in response to this. And then I have JD Vance's response as well. I think I have Elise Stefanik's up here. I'm not sure. But here we go. We're going to put that on the screen for you now. Okay. Matt Walsh says right here, the Virginia AD candidate fantasized about murdering children, and no Democrat at any level called for him to resign or denounced him in any serious way. Meanwhile, a few college kids make edgy jokes in a group chat, and conservatives are tripping over themselves to denounce and disavow, and call for firings and resignations. Absolutely pathetic. If you're still playing by the rules the left sets, but don't even follow themselves, you're hopeless. Completely hopeless. And he's right. He's very much right. In addition to that, we have, if I can find it here, we have JD Vance, who actually defended the kids in the group chat. Shocker. So he put that potential AG of Virginia, right, who we just referenced, right? Here's that group chat. And he put that on here. Here we go. Okay, so this is that guy. This is Jay. You weren't simply asking questions, and you know it. He says, I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. Continues. You weren't trying to understand. You were talking about Jennifer Gilbert's children, hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. This guy was actively hoping that people's children would die. And he doubled down on it right here in this group chat. JD, he quotes that. He says, this is far worse than anything said in a college group chat, and the guy who said it could become the AG of Virginia. I refuse to join in the pearl clutching when powerful people call for political violence. He's right. Again, very much right. This is a freedom of speech thing. And we have the Young Republicans as well. And so the international official X account for the Young Republicans, again, this is a group chat where prominent members of the Young Republicans were exposed, right? The Young Republicans, the board of directors, condemned all these kids because their private group chat got leaked. Quote, we are appalled by the vile and inexcusable language revealed in the political article published today. Such behavior is disgraceful, unbecoming of any Republican, and stands in the direct opposition of the values our movement represents. Those involved must immediately resign from all positions within their state and local Young Republican organizations. We must hold ourselves to the highest standards of integrity, respect, and professionalism. Bro. I don't think they understand. All of the Young Republicans, all of the young people on the right, the majority of them are far right. The majority of them are radicalized because of the socioeconomic factors. We don't have to go into all of them. But the policies that they're putting out on the right now are not working. None of them are working. And so, conversely, if you're going to be on the right and you see that these policies, all these politicians, even Trump, for lack of a better term, are moderate. They're moderate left, moderate right. These policies aren't working. There's a reason young people on the right are becoming edgelords, are becoming irrational in the view of the moderates, completely sensationalized. There's a reason you see more and more Hitler edits. I mean, agree with him or disagree with him, right? He was a horrible person. But there's a reason more and more people are flocking to him. Furthermore, there's no facts whatsoever that back the claims up that these were serious claims. Obviously, these are high-standing individuals in some circumstances. They're not violent people. It's obvious that in this group chat it was a joke. But again, if you're going to continue to call everything racist, if you're going to continue to call everything Nazi and sexist and homophobic, then don't be surprised when these people become that. And so it's quite crazy when you have all of these people on the left who the left themselves don't even call out because either they just don't care or they're very scared to call this out because there is a violent movement on the left. You have all of these people. Again, the guy who murdered Charlie Kirk, all the facts point to he was an obvious left-wing nutjob, very much clear. And then all of the people that didn't denounce, all of these young men and women that were happy, old people too, but these young men and women largely that were happy that Charlie Kirk got murdered in cold blood. All of these people were happy. And the left didn't condemn any of that whatsoever. So it just doesn't make sense. And again, I will reiterate this. The Republican Party, the GOP, they don't have a lot of time left. I see where it's going. You see where the young people are going. The young people are actually going to the right, most of them. But they're not doing the traditional GOP tax cuts for the rich, not do anything else. Like, people want change. These people want change. And what you're giving us right now is not change. Don't be surprised if the Republicans in the next 10, 20 years, don't be surprised if the party ceases to exist and something else is created. Because what these people are doing now, it's not cutting it. And you see how quick they are to condemn all of these kids and call for their jobs, call for them to resign immediately and leave their positions that they've been working so hard throughout their lives to achieve. It doesn't seem like it's a good recipe for the Republican Party. Again, these are the people that are going to replace you. These are the people that will eventually become the senators, the representatives, the president perhaps one day. The people that donate to the Republican Party. And so when you disavow them for holding beliefs a little bit to the right of you, again, these may have been jokes, were most likely jokes. Don't be surprised if the GOP doesn't exist in 10, 20 years. This is crazy. This is crazy. So maybe I didn't convey that to the best of my ability, but like, yeah, I don't understand why you condemn all these kids when this was largely a joke. So that's all. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a like. Give the episode a like, a comment. We are now doing memberships as well. For 99 cents a month, you can contribute to the show, both podcasts, Innocent Villains, and the Luke Papala Show. So I greatly appreciate it. Shide greatly appreciates it. And yeah, so what a way to start the show off. We also have Tucker Carlson had Alex Jones on, a much anticipated episode on Tucker. And they talked about a lot, and we're not going to clip all of it. We have a couple of clips that we're going to play. But I think the most important thing that Alex was talking about with Tucker was the Podesta plan, specifically the western states in the United States potentially seceding from the Union and starting a civil war. So I'm not going to play this whole clip. It's a 15-minute clip. But it really shocked me, and it really jumped out as like something to cover. And for just lack of a better way of explaining it, I'm going to play this clip. So like I said, this is a 15-minute clip. We're not going to cover all of it. But listen to what Alex says regarding the Podesta plan and potential civil unrest leading to a civil war. Here we go.
In August of 2020, Breitbart wrote about it. The Daily Caller wrote about it. But the New York Times wrote about it first. And Podesta does this big Democrat Party war game.
Which Podesta? John
Podesta.
Former White House Chief of Staff, yep.
Absolutely. And then later the climate czar for Biden, or divvying up the climate money, stealing it. He comes out of this huge report. They published the whole thing. And I'm reading like this, it was like 70 pages or something. And they say, if Trump wins in 2020, this is in August, months before, which they were able to steal it, so he didn't. He said, we're going to have western states secede. We're going to have blue cities secede, but we'll start with the western states, California, Oregon, and Washington. And we'll call it over migrants and sanctuary cities and healthcare at first, which they're now doing. I'm getting chills because it's all happening. Like you go to a play and you're reading, oh, the next act is this. And Romeo and Juliet, I mean, it's all right there. And they say, if he wins, we will say it's illegitimate. We will have blue states first secede, and that they're going to be sanctuary cities for the illegals. Then when there's civil unrest, which they'll furnish, Trump will send the National Guard, and then there'll be a massacre of the migrants. And then we will kick off a civil war. Then all the blue cities across the country will secede. Then New York, Massachusetts, and others will secede. And we'll form what we call the Western Alliance. And we will then, the U.S. military will be with us, because they control the generals. People that think that don't think otherwise, that was Trump's big mistake he found out. Most of them are globalists at the top, not your enlisted, they're great people. And that they would then form a military alliance if Trump didn't stand down, and they would march on D.C. And then they made a movie produced 2 years ago, they released last year, called Civil War, that is the last act of the Podesta plan. That's in a 2+ year Civil War, race-based. At the end, they go and, the black female sergeant kills the Trumpian figure in the White House. And that's because evil white people are out massacring brown people across the country. So the U.S. military reconvenes under a Gavin Newsom's command type. And then they come in, and then they take over the country, and then they re-educate all the evil right-wingers and evil white people. And then I saw Gavin Newsom on Colbert about 3 weeks ago, and he said, oh, we're forming, and they hold a map up, the Western Alliance, and it's for migrants and healthcare, and we're getting ready to go on offense. And Colbert goes, ah, he does that demon face, he goes, ah, and the whole crowd goes, ah, because they're all read in on this. We have countless videos at rallies in Austin and Denver and New York where the left goes, soon Trump and Homan will kill a bunch of us. And when they do, that's when the uprising begins. So they're all read in on this. They all know it is the Podesta plan. They all know it's the Western Alliance. They all know it's the Western offense. And so you have the Soros NGO-funded No Kings events, like they had on the 14th of June, when the guy that worked for Tampon Tim went around reportedly, killing senators and state reps there at the state level.
I'm going to stop it there. And again, apologies for the long clip, but you see what Alex is explaining. This is a problem. Sowing civil unrest, we've already seen the George Floyd riots of 2020, COVID, when the government shut everything down, destroyed people's livelihoods. We remember this. This is pretty fresh in my memory. It should be fresh in yours. We have people like Sam Tripoli going on Joe Rogan predicting the No Kings protest 2 years before it happened. This is something that the people in charge want. They want us on our throat. They want us at each other's throats. They're invested in this. Why? Because it keeps us fighting with each other. It doesn't keep us, for lack of a better term, seeing who's pulling the strings. This is a problem. Like Alex is saying, everything is telegraphed. All of this stuff in media, all of the movies, all of the commercials, all of the video games, they're trying to get us to fight over political problems that really, it doesn't really matter. All of this stuff, the deportations, right? It's only affecting a very, very small amount of people. And I understand why it could be an issue to people on the left, and people on the right are cheering it on. But they're using these political differences to be able to take us apart, to divide us, to, like what Alex is saying, to have these states secede from the Union, talking about the Western Alliance, California, Oregon, Washington. What Alex goes on to say in this episode, which I didn't want to clip, obviously, because it was really, really long, he's talking about how they have a list of all these prominent people. Himself, Tucker, he talks about how he hasn't lived at his own house for months, and his family doesn't live there. Why? Because he's scared of what the mob is going to do. Here's the fear. Eventually what's going to happen if they do carry this out, which all signs are leading to, unfortunately, a conflict occurring within America's borders. If this does happen, and this giant mob is activated, which he has talked about, is ready. Antifa is ready, is what Alex has said. He also talked about in factories, they have all of these weapons stockpiled, ready for the conflict. All of the people in Antifa, or whatever alliance is going to form, at the drop of a hat right there. He also did talk about in that clip, all of the generals are not Trump's. All of the generals are against him. They're still the old guard, the old regime. And he's talking about they're going to mobilize against him. They're going to mobilize against the white people, against the people on the right. This is not good. This is very disheartening, and you should be warned. You should start taking precautions now. If this happens, what Alex was talking about is this mob doesn't care. This mob will break into a home if they perceive the people as any sort of a threat in any way. This isn't good. This is very troubling, and it's just very troubling to be able to listen to this. So I listened to the whole episode today, and Tucker was even saying he responded by saying, yeah, like this is definitely an issue. Obviously he was taken off guard. But shame on the people, shame on Colbert, shame on Gavin Newsom, all of these people for saying, we'll have to secede. And they keep threatening it and threatening it. But the conflict seems to be bubbling up, and it's very troublesome. So what Alex is saying, like, yeah, I think we should all take it a little bit serious. I mean, he certainly has. He's talked about before, like, he can't sleep. He's getting all these attacks, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this is very troubling. So please, if you're watching this video, don't play into the divisiveness. Don't go hurt somebody or fight with somebody based off their political opinions. At the end of the day, we're Americans first and foremost, and that should be the basis of the values that we share with each other. Yes, we might disagree on policy when it comes to the economy or abortion or immigration. But at the end of the day, we are still a country, no matter what skin you are, what race you are, if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. It never really mattered. As long as we could coexist within the same country, we have all of the same freedoms as each other. It doesn't matter. So don't play into the violence. Don't play into the rhetoric. Because if this does happen, then it most likely it'll be the end of the country. There's no doubt on my mind. So Hopefully that doesn't come true, but if it does, you heard it here first. So we're going to go back to Alex, actually, because there's some more news about InfoWars. So this is from AF Post right here, and I'm going to put this on the screen here. It says right here, the U.S. Supreme Court has rejected an appeal from Alex Jones and left in place the $1.4 billion defamation judgment against him over his Sandy Hook shooting description. So Alex has been fighting this a long time, and I guess InfoWars is going to shut down. We have a couple other people on here that they did intervene, and they did weigh in here. So this is from Harrison Smith, and he posted this meme, this picture. It says InfoWars is dead. Long live InfoWars. We do have another description actually from InfoWars, one of the reporters here, Steve Deese. He's here talking about it. We might not play the whole thing. We might play the whole clip. It just depends. But here's what Steve has to say about the whole ordeal.
If I had an audience with John Roberts, here's what I would say to him as to why they should absolutely take this case. You should take it, John, if you believe Alex Jones actually is exactly who you claim he is and fear that he is. That's exactly why you should take the case. If he is a gaslighter, if he is the guy yelling fire in a crowded theater and proves that a blind squirrel can find an acorn every now and then, if you say enough wrong things to predict enough bad things about government, eventually they'll prove you to be true, because human nature is not basically good, and government is the greatest example of that. If you're right about that, John, that's exactly why you should take the case, because by not taking the case, you're allowing Alex's audience to continue to have suspicion of your institutions. And you're an institutionalist, John. You've made that very clear, both in your writings as a Chief Justice, in the public remarks you have given. You view yourself as the last vanguard of American institutionalism. You are standing a post there to defend America's institutions. You've made that.
So he's calling out Supreme Court Justice John Roberts. And we'll see. We'll see what this comes to. But as far as Alex Jones, here's what he has to say about it again. So here's another clip from that Tucker Carlson podcast, and then we'll get to what I think. But here's Alex.
And Todd Blanche is protecting the FBI and DOJ under orders from Obama, then Biden, to get me off the air. And we have all the documents where they funded it illegally. We have all the proof. We sued them. We deposed them. I spent millions deposing them all, getting all their emails. Top law firms. And then the Justice Department gets the information, and Ed Martin goes after him and says, preserve your records. I want to talk to you. And then Todd Blanche comes in and says, I'll fire you, Ed Martin. Shut this son of a bitch down right now. Ed Martin needs to be the Deputy Attorney General. And he didn't say that. Okay, I have other DOJ sources that tell me what goes on, but this is the reality.
And could they do that? I mean, because like in the end, I don't think you should use government to make your friends rich or give them special favors. But if you can't deliver justice to people who are on your side, you're not doing it right. And that's really dispiriting and a little weird, to be honest.
So now you would think people on the left, right? After Jimmy Kimmel got fired, you would think people on the left would come to Alex Jones' defense, because this is a freedom of speech issue. What they were saying after Jimmy Kimmel got fired is, yeah, listen, like, you could disagree with Jimmy Kimmel, but you can't say that the government should be able to shut down free speech. And then again, the government is shutting down free speech here. If this is true, which it most likely is true, if I'm reading this again, if you have InfoWars, the U.S. Supreme Court, they literally rejected this appeal from Alex Jones, so they wouldn't even take this. Which we'll see if they submit another appeal, whatever. This is literally a freedom of speech issue, and the Democrats are giant hypocrites. The left, they're just a giant group of hypocrites. Again, they said the government does not have any right to shut down Jimmy Kimmel. Regardless of what you think, the government should not censor speech. Week and a half later, 2 weeks later, the government is censoring speech, but it's on the right. And look at that. Complete silence. Crickets. I think Alex Jones will be around no matter what. But if InfoWars is taken, then this is a huge deal. Again, time and time again, we've talked about what Alex Jones said about Sandy Hook. And it wasn't great. And, you can make arguments all you want, but at the end of the day, his First Amendment right is being taken away. His life is being made hell, all because he said one bad thing about an incident, a tragic incident, that wasn't true. Yeah, yes, it's a tragedy what's happening to the victims of the incident and how they're being harassed and targeted. But as Alex goes in Tucker's interview, like all this stuff was traced back to him, and he was accused of doing all these things. When the proof came back, when the facts came back, it didn't matter because the investigation was already over. The court case was already cut and dry. It was done. And he goes on to say this was never occurring. All the stuff that he was accused of, he was proven to be completely innocent. So I don't know. This is a giant issue, and I don't know what's going to happen with him going forward. He'll probably still be around, but InfoWars will probably be tanked. But it's kind of sad because you have all these people. Literally 2 weeks ago, we're crying about Jimmy Kimmel getting fired. And listen, I didn't think it was a good move. I thought freedom of speech, he should still be allowed to say what he wants, regardless of if the government agrees with him or disagrees with him. He should still be allowed to be on the air. And Alex isn't even being funded by a mainstream media organization like ABC or MSNBC or any of these. It's a complete self-starter. It's his own business. He's been at InfoWars for the past 25 years, perhaps. I believe it's 25 years, but it's a giant hypocrisy. So hopefully it'll be able to be resolved, and hopefully the good will triumph here, because if this is true, then it doesn't set a good precedent. Again, we're just talking about the future. I don't have a very good outlook on the future right now, and it's because of stuff like this. More and more and more, they're infringing on your First Amendment right, trying to intimidate you for what you say because you have certain beliefs that are a little bit different than the media narrative. But hopefully he prevails. But we'll see, man, because this is not a good sign if the Supreme Court rejected the appeal. So, not great. Not great here. We might have one more topic, or we'll save it for tomorrow. Probably going to save it for tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, that might be the episode. So we will see you all tomorrow for Innocent Villains with Scheid. Very much looking forward to getting back to that. Again, please give the channel a sub. Comment on the video what you think. But this has been another episode of Luke Papala Show. Very good to be back with you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.